Welcome back to episode 323 of the Guy and Guns podcast. I'm your host, Troy.
And I'm your other host, Doug.
We use this podcast to talk about guy, guns, and responsible Christian gun owners' interest. On this week's show, we'll be talking about Halloween and its origin, and it's not really Christian. So
Not so much.
Not so much. It's got some dabblings of some people that call themselves Christians, but we'll dig into that a little bit later. Well, I thank our sponsors. First off, bandwidth sponsor for our Primary Arms. Primary Arms seeks to provide the best shopping experience for everything firearms with over 13,000 products, over 400 top brands. Primary Arms carries a complete selection of rifles, handguns, firearms parts, shooting gear, apparel, and more. Every order comes with a commitment to superior service backed by fast shipping and an expert support team serving freedom since 2008. You can find out more about Primary Arms and what all the deals they've got at FRN, Arms Radio Network, .deals, DEALS /PA, Papa Alpha. So, we want to thank them because they are a really good sponsor of the show. And also, we want to thank the Farms Radio Network. If you've not checked out other shows of Farms Radio Network, please do. There are some other great fine shows and fine people all over there. Reloading podcasts. We like shooting. Off-road podcasts. I mean, they're just a bunch. So go over there and check out Reloading Podcast. There's a bunch over there. Check them out and find out other shows over there. Also, Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co if you want to know the website. Jake is a good friend of the show. He started FRN many moons ago. And he has some cool stickers and patches and all kinds of stuff down here that I got piled up underneath my desk. And gun bunnies, and I got signs, and we got the patch. He makes our patches, and we got the He Hath No Sword. Let him sell his cloak and buy one. Luke 22:36. So go over and check out all the offerings over at Patriot Patch Company. They've got shirts and all kinds of good gear, and they've got like these limited edition patches that they've been coming out with that were awesome. They had the A-Team and a bunch of the themed things from the 80s and the 90s, and I think right now they got the Stay Puft Marshmallow just dropped like today or something. So check those guys out over at Patriot Patch. This week's God and Gun activities, Doug. What have you been up to?
Let's see. On the God side, Sportsman's Daily Devotional, Hospital Devotional. I've still been doing my new devotional book that Wendy got me. I do that in the mornings. And let's see. On the gun side, of course, everyday carry. I got to put my new grinder to use again last night. I got my son-in-law's deer all cut up and processed and bagged and got it in the freezer, all done up. So that was good. I've been using that thing like crazy, man. Did a little deer hunting Saturday. I could have killed several, but I didn't see anything in the morning. And went back in the afternoon, sitting on a field, and I had 9 come in, and I could have shot pretty much any of them, but I'm about an hour and 10 minutes away from the house, and I was like, do I really want to mess with that when I get home? Not so much. Nothing big. It was just does, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna pass. I haven't had any pigs on camera since I shot those 2 or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. They ain't had nothing on camera. So I'm doing exactly what Pop asked me to do over there, is keep the pigs gone. And, you shoot a couple of them and they stay gone. So
word gets around.
The word gets around. Don't mess with Doug. I don't know how he knows we're here, but he does. Let's see. Dude, I'm stoked. In about 2 weeks, I'm heading out to South Dakota on a pheasant hunt, and I talked to the outfitter today because we were a little concerned about flying in with our guns and stuff, because we couldn't get a direct shot because it's out in it's actually in Gettysburg, South Dakota, and it's a little puddle jumper that flies in there out of Denver, so we were going to have to change planes.
Wow, that's a long leg.
Yeah.
You get through Chicago?
No, no.
Hmm.
So it's going to be quite the trip. So one of the guys we're going out there with has been out there before, and he's like, "Oh man," he said they got loaner guns if you don't want to take one out there. I'm like, "What?" So I called the guy today. He's like, "Yeah," he said, "I got over and unders, or I got Benellis and all this different stuff. You want a semi-automatic?" He said, "Just tell me what you want." And he said, "I got plenty. Don't worry about it." I was like, "Well, okay." But I found out that we may actually get to do some duck hunting while we're there, and duck hunt in the morning. If it's not froze over, he said, get to duck hunt in the morning and then shoot pheasant in the afternoon or something. I don't know, but I was like, oh man. But I told him I was a duck hunter, and he told me, he said, by all means, bring your calls. He said, because we got mallards. He said, we got speckled belly geese. And I was like, well, I got a speck call too, so we're going to have at it. So
They got snow geese up there too, don't they?
snow geese. He said they was shooting cranes up there the other day.
Oh, sandhill crane.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, we got a ton of sandhill crane right here. I mean, like Bering River Reservoir is like the sandhill crane heaven place that they come in from everywhere.
We can't shoot them here. We don't have a season.
We have a limited season. I forget what it is.
Yeah, we don't have any crane shooting down here. But hey, I thought that'll be fun. So I'm excited. I've never been to South Dakota before. So
It's windy.
dude,
It's windy and it's cold.
I looked at the forecast for all this week, next week, and the week we're going to be out there, and every day I think it's like 15-mile-an-hour wind.
Oh, that's not very much.
No,
The
but
plains at this time of year are windy and they bite,
right.
and it can snow at anytime it wants to. I was there in May a couple years ago, and it snowed on me all the way across South Dakota into Wyoming. We stopped, and it got back up to like 55 or 60 in the day, and went to bed just over the border from South Dakota. And woke up next morning, had like 4 inches of snow on top of my camper. Had to run the heater and stuff in May, and same thing in October. You don't know, you might get snow. So I would wear as much thermal as you got. Buy wool socks. If you don't have wool socks, make sure you got good thick wool socks, because even if they get wet, they'll still hold most of the thermal mass. Of course, Gore-Tex boots to keep the water out. You probably already got that. And then layers so you can shit out of them. But wind, you got to deal with the wind. So
Yeah, I don't know how cold. I think he said it's only supposed to be like in the 40s while we're there, or maybe he said the highs of 40. I don't know, but I'm expecting. I'm prepared for cold and going from there. So
we need Keith on. His family's got a farm there, pheasant farm. Well, they also farm other things, I think, but they got a pheasant ranch or pheasant whatever there. It's not far from Mitchell, which is the pheasant capital of the world, well, of at least South Dakota. What part of South Dakota you gonna be in again?
Gettysburg.
Gettysburg. I don't know. I've ever been to Gettysburg. Now, our buddy Jake, he's down in the northeast corner. No, excuse me, the southeast corner of South Dakota. Uh, they moved there from Illinois.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um, I'm really excited about flying. I can tell you that after my last experience. So,
Yeah, look, how many people are going?
I don't know how many's gonna be out there total. There's two of us going from Georgia.
Oh, okay. But if you had enough people, you could charter a plane just about as cheap as you can buy tickets. If you got like 5 or 6 people going,
Mm-hmm.
you could charter you a direct flight and be a lot less hassle. You don't have to like be poked and prodded and turned upside down and all that stuff.
Yeah, we're flying United into Denver, and then I forgot what the airline was. I'd never even heard of it. It's something little.
Oh, yeah, those little guys. A lot of them are like Freedom something, and I forget what those little. They're like subsidiaries of bigger airlines. They got those little bitty small business jets and stuff.
I got my itinerary the other day, but I can't remember exactly. I
I'll
can't
tell
remember.
you, have you flown into Denver before?
No, I have not.
Denver, you come in because of the high altitude. You come in
Mm.
pretty fast, so you hit pretty hard.
Oh, really?
If you don't like flying, my pastor and I a few years back, gosh, it's probably been 7 years ago now, 6, 7 years ago, we went out to Montana to check out a new potential partner uh, to for mission trips and stuff in Montana. And we had to go through Denver. We went through Chicago on the way out. We went through Denver coming back, and he hates to fly. I mean, he like turns white and stuff. And I told him, I said, when we come into Denver, we're going to come in fast and we're going to hit hard. So don't freak out. Don't stand up and start proclaiming Jesus right in the middle of the landing. and, and then we were coming in. You can see him just tighten up, man. We come in fast. Of course, there's a smaller jet coming out of, we flew out of Billings, Montana. So it's a smaller jet going into Denver. But, you're up a mile high. And so you don't have as much lift the higher the altitude. But we come in and we hit, you can hear people all over the plane. It's like, bam.
I haven't been in there. I've been in Salt Lake City, and I flew the scariest I've ever been coming in. We flew into Albany, New York, several years ago, but it was winter, and we were coming in, and there was a crosswind. I kid you not, Troy. We're coming in the runways this way.
Mm-hmm.
We were coming in sideways.
Grabbing. Yeah.
I'm looking out the window at the runway going directly away from us. I was like, there ain't no way he's lined up. And we slid down through there, and just before we got touchdown, man, I mean, he pulled that nose around and lined it up. Well, I guess he knows what he's doing after all.
Yep. The first time I flew out of Maine, I went up there with John when he got transferred up to Bangor. Was it Bangor, Maine?
Yep.
Loring Air Force
Loring
Base.
Air Force Base.
We went up there and we arrived in Presque Isle, which was the nearest like civilian town, I guess, to the base there. And we got in there that night, and it was Halloween night. It was Halloween night, and we checked into the hotel there, which was like a wood paneled, little quaint old motel, like probably 40 years old back then. And the next day, I got on a plane to fly back, so I had a hop from Presque Isle, which is a little bitty airport, down to Bangor. And then from Bangor, we picked up a little bit bigger plane and flew into Boston, from Boston to Louisville. And I got on the plane that morning, and it snowed. It was snowing up there Halloween in Presque Isle, Maine. And this was 1986, I think. 85? No, 85, I guess it was.
Yeah.
He graduated 85. So I got on the plane and fly back, and there was a nor'easter coming in. As soon as we come off the run, got the wheels off the ground, the plane turned this way, and it stayed that way all the way to Bangor. Like we were going this way, and the plane was flying into the wind, and so he was just trying to keep ground. So we flew sideways, and it was all this up and down, and we got to Bangor, and we came in just like that. We come in sideways, and like, how's this thing gonna land? And it hit the ground. Boom! We come back around, headed straight, come down the runway, and got off the plane there. And that was the only airport I've ever been. They sold lobsters in the airport. They had like lobsters in these tanks. You could buy a fresh lobster, and they would put it in the airplane for you, so you could take it with you. So you could buy lobster. I thought that was pretty funny. That's why I met Stephen King.
Yeah.
I flew from Bangor to what did I say? Next airport. I'm drawing a blank. I just said it, but I forgot it. I'm getting old. But on that flight, he was,
Presque Isle.
Presque Isle. That was down to Bangor. Then from Bangor, we flew to, good grief, Boston. Flew into Boston from there, and then from Boston to Louisville. But I met him. I was reading Pet Sematary, and he said, "How do you like that book?" I'm like, "Oh, it's all right." He said, "Well, I wrote it." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, really?" what I said.
Sure.
I didn't know that, I really didn't know a whole lot about the author Stephen King. That was back, I mean, I'd seen a couple of the movies, but I didn't know he was from Maine. I didn't know and I flipped over the back and was like, oh man.
Can you sign this?
Yeah. It didn't even occur to me. I was like, oh yeah, I'm enjoying the book. Yeah. But I didn't think about getting a signature. But that was, but both of those flights all the way into Boston, and we come in that way, even in that bigger plane, we come in sideways and sit down. But once we got, like, I think it was a 737 flew to Louisville. It wasn't such a big deal. But boy, those little planes, you really feel it when you're flying that strong winds up there. But we talked a whole lot about airplanes. Never got to talk to. Are you done with your guy?
I am. That's it for me.
Daily Bible reading for me. Went to church Sunday, and Krista's first day in church was Sunday. That's
Hey.
and then the pastor vote needed 85%, and we had like 83%. I think he didn't get the vote by like 3 votes, 4, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 votes, something like that. We had a whole lot of people that hadn't been at church for 3+ years show up, so I don't think it was quite fair. We had people that were there that hadn't been there and I know they're going to other churches, and so I don't know if they were pro or against, but whatever the facts were, he didn't get the vote, so we're looking for another pastor again. Went to Bulwark's alumni BAM this weekend. Went Saturday.
Yeah. How was that?
It was fun. Yeah, it's fun. I didn't shoot as well this time as I did on the carbine last time. I think I scored a 60, 70 something, but I didn't get my red dot turned down. We didn't have a whole lot of time to set up, so my red dot was a little bit too bright, and I was wearing sunglasses, and the clouds came out, so it was like big red and the little target. And I was like, I can't see it, and I didn't. You got 1.5 seconds to get off 2 shots, and 2.5 seconds to get off 3 shots, or 3 seconds to get. They keep switching around you from this distance, that distance, and my offsets, and man, I just was not. I wasn't in good shape. I had been. I've lost a lot of muscle and stuff, and I had not been feeling well. So I got all kinds of excuses why I didn't do well. But Gunner did a little bit better than me this time.
Did he?
Kirby, yeah. And then on pistol, I did okay. I didn't get kicked out of the course, but I didn't do as good as I wanted to. But I was having trouble with the front sights, and the sunglasses in the sun went in, and then it started sprinkling and raining and stuff, and didn't get to the shotgun on Saturday, so I didn't get a chance to shoot for that. But they had it on Sunday. But I had church security Sunday, and we had a pastor's vote.
What'd you shoot on pistol?
What, the score?
No, what pistol?
Oh, I shot the Staccato C.
Did you?
Yeah, I probably should have shot the Glock 40, the Glock 30S. Probably because I don't have enough time behind the Staccato to be that quick. I mean, I've been drawing and getting it on target quick, but changing the mags, I'm not that fast on mag changes, and you only got 8 rounds, and so you got to change mags throughout that course, and you got to remember your round count. You got to top off, and then I ended up not taking but 4 mags. I should have taken like 5 mags, so I could have switched every time and just dropped them. But the things you think of, and then I don't really have a good mag carrier for my double mags. I've been using the Springfield XDS mag carrier that came with that pistol.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't. It's just not quick to grab out. But that was a lot of fun. Greg said, "Bless you."
Yep. Thank you.
Let's see. That was fun. Got to see Eric and the guys. Eric's got something coming up. He talked to me a little bit about at the BAM new course he's thinking about, and so we're going to flesh it out, and I'll introduce it to you guys down the road. We'll have him on and talk about. It's going to be pretty cool. So if you know what a Patriot Fire Team is, like Paul Markle, sort of in that vein, but it's going to be for like community. So we'll talk about that when it's more fleshed out and he's got a good grasp of how he wants to do that. It'd probably be like a 4-day class.
Ooh.
So it ain't going to be cheap, but it'll be very in depth, and it will be very, very good knowledge to have in the days going forward, probably. So
I
that
think if I
being said,
I think if I
go ahead.
get to shoot the pistol course, which hopefully I get to shoot one here soon, I'm probably going to shoot the 45 and not the 9 millimeter, just so I can cut a bigger hole and maybe hit the line.
You need a 50 Glock.
I know.
50 BMG. You need a Desert Eagle out there. Put some fins on them things. All right. Let's see. On the ham side, installed that FT8900R for you ham guys that are in the audience. That's an older Yaesu dual receive, dual transmit. It's like two radios in one, and it's a 4-bander. So it's got the 2 meter, 70 centimeter. Then it's also got 6 and 10 meter HF. And I got it. I got mocked up and put it in there, but I don't like where the antenna is. You saw where I had mounted on the front bumper.
Mm.
It worked fine. I need to do some grounding. There's a little bit of noise in there, so there's a whole lot of grounding I probably need to do with that thing. So I took off that antenna, and I'm looking at a different mount Diamond makes. I've got 2 of the Diamond type flange mounts, but the angles of the hood of that Excursion didn't work well for either of those, and there's not enough room in the rear hatch door to put it back there. I'm looking to see if they've got like a luggage rack mount, and I've not found one yet. If anyone knows if Diamond or someone makes a 3/8 antenna luggage rack mount, I might try to mount it on top of that. But the grounding is going to be a pain, so I'm going to have to run a wire from the antenna base down to the roof, and then I'll need to run it on down and then ground the doors to the body, and then ground the body down to the front panels. And HF is different. 6 and 10 is not as bad as the upper bands. I'm talking about ham and people are going to sleep. So EDC, I'm packing actually the Glock 30S tonight. I've been running around on the farm, and then went and picked up tires for my truck today. I know that we're going into what's been predicted as a bad winter, and I knew with the supplies running short, I thought I better start checking on tires. And a couple weeks ago, I called down the people I get tires from, and they said, "Yeah, we can get them, but it's going to take us a while." And they've gone up. I'm like, what hasn't gone up?
Of course they have.
And so it cost me, I think, $1,280 for 4 tires for my truck.
Well, that's not bad. That's about what mine run.
Yeah, a 20-inch. I can't remember the size. They're the rated so I can pull the dozer and all that stuff, and heavyweight. I think they're 4,000-pound load rating each. So 16,000 for the whole truck and stuff. Well, and then I'm carrying that in the Super Tuck, and then got the Lifesaver enhanced to the gun. Got a Softy tourniquet. I'm actually carrying the Ratworks auto knife tonight, and the ETD Defender flashlight.
That thing is pretty.
Yeah, it's a chunk of steel, man. If you don't cut somebody with it, you can knock them out with it.
Right.
Well, you packing? Usual?
Oh, I am packing. Got the usual suspect, Glock 19 with my Student of the Gun night vision sights on it, which I love. It's a big old dot. And I have my Spartan auto knife, which this thing is, I've just beat it to death, but it still works. Love it.
Yep, they're tools, not safe queens, right?
It is.
So I looked, I couldn't find an iTunes review or anything new, but our rating went from 5 down to 4.8, so that's a little disturbing.
Uh-oh.
It's always been 5, even with some bad reviews. It was still 5 because we had so many good reviews.
How'd we go down with no reviews?
Well, I couldn't find the reviews. I looked and looked. I couldn't find any access to them from my computer today. So I don't know if I clicked on the reviews and it wouldn't bring them up. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. I'm sure it's me. Sure,
You
it's
may,
not anything to do with technology.
no, I'm sure it's not. I was gonna say I looked. We haven't had one since June. So if anybody would like to go help get our ratings up, by all means,
Yeah,
please do.
and if you're online right now, it shows only 2 people, but we got 7 likes. Well, that doesn't make any sense. On that side, over here on this side, it shows 14 people, 15 people over on YouTube, and then I can't see the other 4 feeds. But all right, so you guys a joke?
I do got a joke. So a man appears before Saint Peter at the pearly gates. Have you done anything of particular merits? Asked Saint Peter. Well, the man said, once I came upon a gang of bikers who was threatening a young woman. I approached the largest and most heavily tattooed biker and smacked him in the head, kicked over his bike, ripped his nose ring out, and threw it on the ground. Now leave her alone, I yelled. St. Peter was impressed. When did this happen? He said, just a few minutes ago.
That's where I live from.
Yeah, that's how I got here.
Right before the Express to Heaven bus showed up.
Yeah, it was probably the nose ring that got him.
Yeah, I don't know many.
Could have been the bike. Could have been the bike.
Bikers must have changed. Do you know any bikers that wear nose rings?
No, not unless they got like a bull cinch stuck in their nose or something.
Of course, I don't know any real bikers. All I know is these 50-plus guys that got more money than they need, and they go out and buy a bike, and the leathers, and them and their wife ride around trying to look cool.
Wild hogs.
That's all the ones I know. Bankers and dentists and lawyers that have their Harleys that ride on the weekend.
Weekend bikers.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife won't let me ride anymore. I rode all my life up until I got married. And then, well, actually, I rode after I got married. Then she took away my man card, and I can't ride a motorcycle anymore. Unless it's I can't ride on the road.
I'm not allowed to ride the road.
I gotta have them training wheels on it. I started riding a motorcycle on the road when I was 10, and I rode for like 6 years before I got my driver's license. You know, like back in the day, the farm roads and stuff. Nobody cared kids riding motorcycles.
Oh no!
Every once in a while, a county sheriff would pull you over just to scare you up. But I can remember when I was 14 playing football. My mom actually called the sheriff's department and said, "Hey, can my son ride his motorcycle to practice? Because I'm really busy and I don't have time to take him to practice." And they said, "Well, no, ma'am, he can't do that. He doesn't have a driver's license." Well, you know, he's pretty responsible. This was Hart County back in the 70s, you know. Probably if she not said anything, I just went ahead and rode. But, you know,
he's pretty responsible.
Pretty responsible. I've already been riding on the road for 4 years. Of course, you know, with farm kids, we drove tractors pulling hay wagons, 5,000 pounds of hay on it, or grain wagons with 15,000 pounds of grain on it, up and down hills and through ditches and stuff. And combines down the road at 14, you know, and farm trucks and stuff. Yeah, that's why you just grew up. You didn't know any different. I remember my granddad teaching me how to drive his pickup truck so he could throw hay on the back of it when I was 7.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't hardly reach the pedals. Was the trouble, and it was stick shift, shift on the column, and so I have trouble getting up the hills because I needed to give it gas to go up the hill, and I didn't have enough reach. You'd be back in the back throwing out hay. Man, we're old, Doug. All right, so
we are.
You're a little older though. This day in history, 1962, October 28th, 1962, Nikita Khrushchev orders the withdrawal of missiles from Cuba. And the Soviet premier withdrew the missiles, ending the Cuban Missile Crisis. Of course, we know it was because of John F. Kennedy standing firm, last good Democratic president we ever had. They actually took them missiles back out of there, and that was right before he was killed. So there ain't no coincidence there. All right, so what else we got going on here? We got the Bible verse this week coming from Ecclesiastes 9:5 and 6. Do you know who wrote the book of Ecclesiastes? What
Uh,
Ecclesiastes?
no. Paul.
No,
No, I don't remember.
it's the Old Testament.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Before Paul's time.
Yeah.
Solomon,
Solomon.
son of David. All right, verses 5 and 6. Oh, I'll pop this up here where you guys that are watching live can see it. For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing. They are no longer they no longer have a reward here, for the memory of them is forgotten. Indeed, their love, their hatred, and their zeal have already perished, and they no longer have a share in this age in anything that is done under the sun. And why, pray tell, are you reading this tonight, Troy? Well, there's a lot of Christians that over the years I've encountered that talk about praying to their parents or praying to their deceased husbands or praying and asking God to tell their families things. And I understand the mourning process is hard, but the Bible clearly states in multiple verses that we aren't to try to talk to the dead, because when you do that, you're opening yourself up to evil spirits, and we know those evil spirits as demons. And so when you start trying to converse with dead people, be they Christian or not, you're not going to get an answer back from your relative, because they aren't here anymore. They are either in heaven or they're somewhere else. And trying to communicate with them only opens you up to getting some kind of response back that you shouldn't be reaching out to. And it says that, again, multiple places in the Bible. If you just want to do a search, you can type in Bible verses about communicating with the dead, and you'll see lots of warnings in Old and New Testament that you're not to do that. Why am I talking about that? Well, we're coming up on Halloween, and there's a lot of misunderstanding about Hallows Eve or Halloween, All Hallows Eve, or the Souls Day, the origins of Halloween. And you have a lot of young Christians that don't know the history of pagan holidays and how the Roman Catholic Church went through and had sort of, tweaked it a little bit and made it their own. So we'll get into that here in just a second. But just again to remind you that, in Ecclesiastes, it talks about the dead. They're not concerned about this world anymore. They're no longer here. They don't have a stake here anymore. They're gone on. Any memories they have are no longer. Other places of the Bible, it talks about, the beggar dying and going to heaven, and then the rich man died and asked for Lazarus to send him some water so he could drink, because he could see heaven from hell, apparently. And he's like, he can't hear you. He doesn't have anything to do with you. You can't talk to him. There's a divide, right? There's a divide between those who are living and those who have went on before. And Jesus said to be separate from the body is to be with him in paradise. So upon death, we are no longer here. We're not hearing back and forth. We're not looking down from heaven. And I'm not trying to stomp on anyone's way of trying to mourn and think about someone looking down upon them. The only person looking down upon you is Jesus, right? God is looking down upon you, and he sees your need, and you need to pray to him and not to dead people. You don't go to necromancers or mediums. Those people are just conjuring up evil spirits, or they're shysters. So you don't want to be wasting your money doing those things, because there are things that are unexplained, and there are things I've seen that I can't explain. But as far as, are they ghosts, or are they demons, or are they whatever they are, I don't know. It doesn't specify in the Bible enough that I can determine whether they are spirits that are on their way somewhere or if they are in another dimension, but we're not to converse with them, we're not to have relationships with them, we're not to try to ask them for advice. Uh, just putting it out there. So that's Ecclesiastes 9, 5, and 6. A little bit obscure, but we're on Halloween week here, so we have to go a little bit on the weird side. Anything you want to add or take from that, Doug?
No, I was just going to say, you said Ecclesiastes a while ago, and I heard Ephesians all day long.
Oh, it did start with an E.
It
We are
did-
from Kentucky, so
it did.
it's understandable.
I wasn't paying attention. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure. And you said it. I was like, oh, no, duh. Never mind. Never mind.
Billy, I do know you, Billy, and you're welcome for the sticker and the patch and the other patch. And so, all right. So, main topic: Halloween is not a Christian holiday, even though people say, "Oh, it's All Hallows Eve." Well, no. Uh, so, the origins of Halloween, although not 100% verified and got the stamp of approval from YouTube or from Facebook, they may find that we are not 100% true or something here. But Halloween is a pagan holiday and it was a Celtic holiday by most people's accounts. Some say it goes back even further, all the way back into Samaria and things like that. I don't know. I wasn't there. But from most people's perspective today, and I'm not saying that those people that talk about Sumerian gods and stuff was not real, or I don't know. You put the evidence and I'll read it. But a pagan holiday, and it was about the harvest time, and it also included some of the cult because a lot of these Celtic religions had to do with talking to spirits of people passed on before, and then that religion, that practice of building bonfires and bringing everybody in close and celebrating that time and telling the kids not to go out in the dark and the cold of October in Ireland back in those days. I guess in England too, the Celts. So, but that was a pagan holiday that later on the Roman Catholic Church came into that area, take as they have done other holidays. There are other holidays that they have co-opted to reach the lost, as they would say, I'm sure. And so they created on November 1st, Hallows Eve, or the Saints, All Hallows being the saints who had passed on. And so Saints Day was on the 1st of November. So the previous night before was All Hallows Eve, later chopped down and it was made into Hallows Eve, and then it was chopped down and Hallow Eve, and then Halloween is where the, I don't know, etymology, I don't know how you say it, the word changed over 1900 years or whatever it was from the time of the pagan holiday. But the church again, and then the church also created another holiday on the 2nd of November, which was All Souls Day. And that went along with their program called Purgatory. And so that day you prayed for those who were stuck between between here and heaven, and so they were stuck in purgatory. I don't find that in the Bible, but I don't have the same things that the Catholic Church has. But the order to get someone that was stuck in purgatory, you had to pray them out. And so, because of these things, we find that weird things happen. So when people get stuck in purgatory, they need people to pray for their dearly departed person to get out of purgatory. And I don't have a reference from where that is, and I'm not making fun of anything. I just
don't know.
I don't know. I don't see it in the scriptures I have. But they had the All Souls Day, and so they needed they needed people to pray for them, and either you could pay people to pray for them, or you could give them there was even in Jesus's day there were paid mourners. Remember that? And you read the scriptures that they people would pay people to mourn for the loss of their relative or their
Hmm.
child or whatever. That was really weird. That doorknob just jingled. I'm the only one home. Guess I'm gonna make me a ghost right here pretty quick. So, if it's one of my kids, they know better. So, what happened is that people were needing people to pray for the lost. So, when someone passed away and the community knew, or the beggars in the community knew that they need people to pray for them, they would come to that person's house and beg them for a gift, and that was called cake. The little cakes they gave away, they would go souling, and they were looking for some soul cakes, which were little spicy cakes with some raisins in it, and it would give them something to eat. And so they would come and knock on the door and ask for some soul cakes, and they would pray for the dead person, spirit, to be able to move on into heaven through that process, but which I don't understand, because Jesus didn't say anything about purgatory in the scripture. But so that was where the little gifts came from people knocking on the doors. And then a little bit later on, this pro-Catholic person by the name of Guy Fawkes, which you may have heard of, started popularizing the mask, and he tried to blow up part of the English hierarchies with gunpowder, and they didn't like that, and so they drew and quartered him and then threw his body into the fire. Well, after that, the people that were rebellious against the government started wearing the mask, and so they sort of correlated around the October time of celebration of All Hallows Eve or Halloween, if the word become. And so rebels would wear masks to disguise themselves so they wouldn't be able to be picked out of a lineup. And then they went and started bonfires and started terrorizing people in the communities. And so that's where the trick or treat kind of thing came from. And then I have to check this out. Doug, you take it for a second here, because I think I might have a visitor.
Somebody's in the house. So, anyway, where was he at? He was talking about the masks. So anyway, pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, is a European tradition. Jack-o'-lantern or lantern was so bad that he was kicked out of hell, and I guess that's where the jack. I'll let you take it on the jack-o'-lantern thing. I started to work on that.
So that was a strange thing. I've never had it happen before. So everybody's gone. I'm here by myself, I thought. And I kept hearing the door jiggle. And I'm like, I don't think the dogs can jiggle the door. So I opened up the door, and sure enough, it was Buddy out there, and he was taking his paw and hitting my door latch trying to get in. Never before has happened in the 11 years, 12 years we've had him.
He wanted to come in and see what you were doing.
He knew it was Halloween.
He did.
He back got a 45 in the face. Opened up the door, like, he's sitting there looking at me like, what? He only weighs like 165 pounds, about 5 feet long. I guess he could open the door if he wanted to. All right, so but that was Guy Fawkes, and you seen the white face mask. It is like that's the Guy Fawkes mask. That was Guy Fawkes. So jack-o'-lantern. So how did we get from the European holiday and all this stuff? Well, as the Irish people moved here, they started bringing their traditions with them, and the Catholic Irish people came over and they brought Halloween with them. And it's a fun sort of holiday and seems harmless, and it, for the most part, is. But it started to take a twist. We'll get into that in a minute. But jack-o'-lantern, where'd the pumpkins come from? And so the origin of the pumpkin, it wasn't a pumpkin. It was originally a turnip. And so the story of Jack-o'-lantern O'Lantern was his name. He was
It's a fine Irish boy.
Irish, I guess. So the history or the folklore of where this guy was, he was such a bad person, such a notoriously evil and wicked person. He was so bad that even he got kicked out of hell, sent back to the earth to roam around, and he had no light to see his way, and so he had a hollowed out turnip that he carried around, but there was no spark or to light his lantern, and so it wasn't lantern, it was coined for him. And so the devil felt sorry for him and gave him a spark to put into his pumpkin, which then gave him a lantern to walk around and find his way on the earth. And so that tradition, as it moved to the United States, there was an author now named Nathaniel Hawthorne, and I misspelled it there. Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote about how the pumpkin was illuminated with a candle within, and it was like a jack-o'-lantern. And so that's where we get the jack-o'-lantern with the candle inside of a carved face mask, and that's to ward off the evil spirits. So, but in the original, it was for Jack to find his way around with his lantern. So that's the backstory on that. Of course, the witches come from the Salem witch trial thing, and the black cats come from, of course, witchcraft too. Now, the other side of that is nowadays Halloween has become a holiday for everyone who is different. So they are embracing the witchcraft, they're embracing the Wicca, they're embracing bohemian type activities and things, and they're converting it and changing the holiday again from something that was originally a pagan holiday to something that was Christianized for marketing purposes and maybe collections of money to something that was just sort of a fall festival kind of fun thing to spooky, creepy kind of stuff. Um, to now it's become, well, this is, we're going, it's become sort of claimed by the satanic uh, church and things as being an actual evil holiday, and so they're making the most of it. And so whatever, it's all for naught because Christ won on the cross, and everything else is just a waste of time. So if you want to win, go with the winner, right? But on the flip side is there anything evil about Halloween? As long as you understand the context of what it is, as long as you don't let your children think that there's something magical about Halloween, that you just understand that it's an old pagan holiday that's brought to the new world, that's been sort of messed around with by Christianity. Well, I won't say Christian. I'll say the Roman Catholic Church sort of put their spin on it, and did their little thing, and so they sort of modernized it, and they sort of brought it into the mainstream of Christian culture of that era. And now it's like everything else in the world is becoming perverse and becoming something more vile and disgusting, and being used as sort of a holiday for the, I'll say bohemian to be nice. So I would use it as an opportunity. So what do you do on Halloween if you're Christian? Do you put out pumpkins and candles and scary things in your yard and ghosts, and if you want to, I think it's as a Christian you should probably do a fall festival look thing. I mean, that's what we do. We don't. My daughter loves putting skeletons and stuff in her car and creepy stuff. She's into that. It's an age where they like to macabre, of course, store stuff. But she loves Jesus, and it's not a thing. She knows it's all just for fun. As long as you children understand, it's just for fun. There's nothing, any kind of depth to it. It's as shallow as a mud puddle. But do you focus on it and make it bigger than anything else, and make it bigger than Jesus during that period of time? No, you don't forsake going to church so as you go Halloween, whatever thinking. But if you're going to have trick or treaters come over, have some candy, have some Bible tracts, or have a Bible to give away to the kids. Use it as an opportunity to outreach. Use an opportunity to share Christ with the lost and dying world. Every opportunity you've got, use it to share the gospel. And so get you some tracts. If you don't have tracts, maybe your church has got some tracts, or if you don't have some Bibles, Dr. Gideon, he could get you some Bibles or give you some Bibles. And when they come, hand out some Bibles. Most of the churches around not most, I'd say probably half the churches around the community have trunk or treats, and that's what they do. They hand out candy. They let the kids come in. They'll put on a puppet play, or they'll hand out hot chocolate to the parents and invite them to church and things like that. I don't think that there's any harm in that. Now, we're not celebrating the pagan holiday. We're not celebrating the holiday as being something that we're looking forward to. But as far as being a community thing that we're just, I don't see a problem with it. I don't know about you, Doug. How you feel about that?
Nah, I'm the same way. It's mostly now an opportunity for my kids' age to dress up their little ones in Elsa's and little costumes and stuff, and run around with a little bag and collect candy.
And we get to eat it. Right?
That we get to eat. We have to sort through it and make sure it's safe.
Yep.
And it's not. Our hospital is doing a trunk or treat. But then the neighborhood one of my daughters lives in, that's where we're supposed to go, and us men folk get to sit and look at all the cute little costumes that come up of kids that can barely walk, and get them some candy and see how cute they are, while everybody else takes the other kids and walks them around to see how much they can collect, and have a good time. We get together as a family. It's a fun time.
Yep. So that's pretty much it about Halloween. Is it a Christian holiday? No. But it been messed with by the Roman Catholic Church, and I'm not going to attack our brothers over there. They can't help what their predecessors did or didn't do or whatever. But as far as is it a Christian holiday? No, it's not. We shouldn't celebrate it as a Christian holiday, and we should explain to our children the origins, just like I explained to you guys tonight, best you can. It was a pagan holiday that was sort of brought in to the church, the Roman Catholic Church, and then brought over from the old world to the new world by people moving here. And today it's just an American fun holiday of scary stuff. But you need to tell them about, what the Bible says about ghosts, what the Bible says about contacting dead people and stuff like that. Because if you watch any kind of movies about Halloween and stuff, they're always having seances, and they're always talking about disembodied spirits chasing them around and stuff. You tell them what the Bible says about that stuff, so that they're not scared, first of all, and that they're not misled, and then not because I'm telling you that the Disney's and the movies and makers and stuff like that want to try to confuse the minds of little Christian family members as much as they can to dissuade them, or to try to lead them away. All right, so that's all I've got for Halloween. You want to add anything there, Doug?
No, it's we're going to go watch Trick or Treaters, I guess.
Yep, I won't. Maybe. No, I'm doing the net on Sunday night. Sunday night, the 31st, 30th. Sunday nights. Yeah.
It'll be a good opportunity to have some chili or something after they go trick or treating when you're outside and get cold.
I got cold today. I was working on my truck in the rain. I was working on the excursion in the rain, working on the antenna, and I was trying to get this little set screw undone underneath the bumper. And the rain was coming off the hood, going down the corner of the truck, and went down that little Allen wrench and in my hand and down my sleeve and elbow, and I could not keep the water from coming in the whole time. And there's those set screws. I had to do it by feel. There's 4 of them up in there, and I'm trying to work up in there. Every time I touched that set screw, water just poured down my sleeve. I got done. I about poured out half a gallon of water on my sleeve. I got a little chilled. I came in and stood by the heat for a little while until it warmed up. Primary Arms is a sponsor that one of the sponsors of the show. We thank them for sponsoring the show. We appreciate everything they do. If you want patches or stickers like this, you can find them. Well, you can't find them anywhere because Instagram took our thing down, Facebook took our thing down, and our website's down. So just message me or Doug, and I'll. I don't know. I've got a link in here. I got a link in here to our Shopify store, so you can get them that way. What else we got here? Subscribe Star. At the request of several of our listeners, we set up a Subscribe Star after Patreon kicked us out because we talked about God and guns, I guess.
Yeah.
We got us a Subscribe Star account. So if you'd like to donate to us, you can go to subscribestar, all one word, .com/God dash and AND dash guns. And you can sign up for a monthly giving or one-time gift or whatever you'd like to do. Some of our monthly givers, I think, signed up as one-time givers and they forgot or they thought they were signed up for one or the other. So if you sign up as a monthly giver and you only got charged once, then you may need to go back and look at it again. All right, so you got the last two. Then we got the Armed Citizen of the Week.
All right. The first one is PowerTac lights. My son-in-law, after helping me drag a hog out of the woods the other day, and I let him use my stream light, and I was using my PowerTac light, he quickly decided he needed a PowerTac light, and he ordered him one the other day and used our promo code, like everybody should if you find a light they have, which is God and Guns. It'll give you 40% off of any light you got they have out there that you want to buy from them. If they're running a sale for 50% off, ours is 40%. By all means, take the 50%. But hey, when you order, let them know that you heard about them through us, and that'll let them know that we are talking about them. But if you're looking for a light, go check them out at powertac.com. Also, Crossbreed holsters. Troy carries in a Crossbreed. I carry in a Crossbreed, and I have several different ones that I carry. They have one. Troy and I both carry in the Super Tuck Deluxe, which we love. They have the drop slide, the Freedom carry. They have a belly band.
There's my old Super Tuck. It's falling apart, but I've ordered new parts for it, so hopefully they'll be in soon.
Hey, that's what happens to them when you wear them, right?
Oh, yeah. I wore this thing for 2 years every day, and it's just now where it's the Kydex is starting to break right here because I rolled over on this thing and mashed it, and all the screws have backed out. The rubber things have backed out, but it never has fell off. It never has not stayed where it's supposed to stay at, and it's as comfortable today as it was the day I put it on.
That's the go the other way.
Drop slide.
That's the drop slide. That's the Freedom, which I like it. It's comfortable, but it's only got the one clip on it. I like the 2 clips personally, but it is comfortable.
I like it on the XTS. It was really good for the XTS because it only needed 1 clip. It was really good. And that Glock 26 is pretty good in that as well.
And hey, if you're carrying a big gun, if you're hunting in Alaska or hog hunting or whatever, they have the chest rig, which I have one for my 44 Magnum that I carry. So if you're looking for a good holster, doesn't matter. Pretty much they make one for any gun and any way you want to carry it, and they will hook you up. So go check them out at crossbreedholsters.com. Use the promo code G&G, get 10% off for just listening to the show.
I saw that Paul and Jared them were out at Crossbreed this last week.
Oh, were they?
And Carol and them. Yeah, I commented and said, yeah, Carol and the Crossbreed family are a good host. We enjoyed our visit with them a couple years ago.
Yeah, I need to get out there and go visit with them.
Yeah, they're a long way from anywhere.
Yeah. That's a good thing, though.
Yeah. Independence, Missouri.
Independence.
All right, our armistice of the week. What we got?
Armed Citizen of the Week comes to us from Brunswick, Georgia. In Brunswick, Georgia, a call for a Papa John's pizza delivery came in at about 11 p.m. on a Saturday. When the delivery driver arrived at the given address, he found what seemed to be a vacant mobile home. However, a man was there and threatened the delivery driver with a knife. He defended himself. To defend himself, the driver drew his firearm and shot the assailant, killing him. According to the Georgia Department of Corrections, the deceased suspect was a repeat offender who had been released from prison after serving 15 years for armed robbery. The
Wow.
delivery driver was not charged with any violations, and that comes to us from news4jax.com in Jacksonville, Florida.
Well, instant justice.
It is instant. 15 years for armed robbery, and he gets out and go try it again. Maybe he was just trying to go back to prison. Who knows?
I'm sure he was a good boy. And
Oh, yeah.
family will tell you that he didn't do anything wrong.
He did
Well,
good in school and everything.
and he had plans. Well, I think that does it for the night. You got anything else?
No, just one thing, man. If you guys would keep me in your prayers coming up here, you know, and I'm going to talk politics for just a moment. The unconstitutional mandate of taking this vaccination poison that they want everybody to take. You know, the hospital I work for right now, we do not have one, but you know, they have threatened. Biden administration has threatened to tie our funding from Medicaid, Medicare to being vaccinated in your hospital. So we were told today that as of right now, they're not mandating anything. But if they try to do that and withhold funding, it may come down to it that we have to take that shot. And I've already pretty much made my intentions clear that I am not taking it. So,
But you don't have to be vaccinated to come into the country illegally.
you do not. You do
don't have
not.
to have a visa. And they're going to give you $450,000 for every family member that doesn't get to come in or got in trouble. And yeah, we're just in the wrong party, Doug. We need to go across the border, renounce our citizenship, then come back in, and we'll get all kinds of benefits. We don't have to get shot.
Come back across. I know, right?
Yeah,
It-
go ahead
it's
there, renounce
just
our citizenship, just walk back in.
it's just ridiculous, man. You know, every reason they come up that I should take it, I give them one reason why I shouldn't, and I think mine are just as valid as theirs. And my biggest one is I have had COVID.
Mhm.
I've been vaccinated by God.
Yep, me too.
I'm good.
I think I've had it twice, honestly. I think I had the first version and the second version that came out after everybody started getting vaccinated. That new variant came out.
Hmm.
Just saying, I'm not a medical doctor, although I pretend to be one every once in a while. But
It stayed at Holiday Inn Express
I
once.
stayed at Holiday Inn Express last night. They had sausage for breakfast. So, but my body, my choice, right? And another thing is that I don't know how many people I know that've gotten that shot. They got heart problems now.
Exactly.
A bunch of people got heart problems and got some other issues and stuff. I mean, a lot of people like, oh, I went and got the shot, I got the second shot, I got the third shot, I got the booster shot. Oh, I gotta go to the doctor, my heart's acting up. Doctor wants to run tests on me. I mean, a lot of people, and I'm talking about people my age.
Hmm.
I'm just saying, there's something wrong there. If they're trying to force you to take something, our government's not always on the right side of things, especially on the party of death and dismemberment. Well, let's leave it at that. All right, we're gonna wrap this puppy up before we get in trouble. We'll get striked out of here. So you guys keep Doug in your prayers. When a door shuts, a window opens, or another door opens up, is what I've always heard. And so let's pray that Doug has other opportunities, maybe better than what he's got where he's at, if that's what the road leads him to. So
Bill said over on YouTube he was kind of in the same boat I'm in.
yeah. Well, I think they're going to try to lock us all down even though we got better immunity than the people getting them stupid shots. But
Mhm.
do what you want to do. It's your body. I
That's
would
right.
research what's in it, but the trouble is they don't tell you what's in it because they don't have to because it's an experimental drug and they can keep changing what's in it. So I'm just saying. The
Hey, so
biggest proponents of it is Bill Gates, and he's a eugenicist. If you don't know what that is, that's the one who wants to kill off everybody so they can have it all to themselves.
I posted a thing on my Facebook page the other day. Of course, it's got 0 likes, zero comments, zero anything, because it is a video from a doctor
Hmm.
talking about remdesivir, the medication that they're giving in the hospital, and the problems that it causes. And it's a warning from him, and everything he says in that video is spot on. And I looked up about half of it already, and I mean, it's true. But nobody's going to see it unless you go look at my Facebook page, which if you do, go check it out. And it looks like a PowerPoint slide when you first see it, because you won't see it unless you actually go there. But I suggest people, especially if you got loved ones that have it that may have to go to the hospital, you need to watch that video and check it out. You make your own mind up from there. But
Yeah.
um, it was very eye opening.
Our good buddy Joseph Hulsey out there, that's what they gave him. He's out of the hospital, so he survived it. So hopefully he got a good batch of it, not something that gives him problems long term. But that was, I guess, the only option he had out there. He's in Illinois, so I'm sure he's just like we are here in Kentucky. You got Democrat leadership. You can't have no options as far
Well,
as
that
medical
this
stuff.
video, there's a QR code that they show very first thing. You can scan that QR code, and it gives you um, an option. And there's also a site for doctors that at no charge. They it's kind of like Blake and them down in Florida. That doctor that helped them out with the medications. It was not that has the doc saved all these people's lives, and it sounds like he saved their life pretty much too,
Yeah.
by the medication he was given. But part of the thing in that video was talking about remdesivir. They actually used it as a drug to try to combat Ebola,
Yeah, I remember that.
and it was a trial study, and it was supposed to last for a year, but at the 6 month mark, they had to stop it because it had already killed 54% of the people that were in the trial. So you might want to think about it. You might want to go watch it. And he actually makes sense. There's Blake right there. Um, he said, ivermectin success stories.
Yeah.
Thank God for the doctor who saved us. Yeah,
That's
I'm
what we
telling you.
took. We took ivermectin and it stopped it cold, man. It stopped the virus in all of us really quick. In like 3 days, the virus symptoms were gone. I ended up with pneumonia, and Krista, I think, ended up probably with pneumonia, but she never was diagnosed with it. It just took her forever to get over the cough. But as far as fevers and all that stuff, we never had any of that stuff as soon as we started taking ivermectin.
Oh, Bill said he saw it. But what I was going to say about the remdesivir stuff, apparently Fauci and them started buying that stuff up. And the doctor makes a very good point that's what Fauci and company have said you need to give people that are in ICUs and in hospitals to combat COVID, knowing good and well it killed 54% of the people that they put in the trials, but they're still doing it. They bought up all the supply that was out there, because he makes a point. He said, look at it this way. The United States has all the supply. They're giving it, and they had more deaths in the United States than any other country that went through COVID. So, hey, go watch it. Make up your mind for yourself. See what you think. And
There's a reason they're doing what they're doing. They're trying to get us, wipe us out, especially
well,
older population that don't vote for stupid people.
well, it also makes it. Well, here's what it does.
Yeah.
If you can blame more deaths on COVID, that is really not. And
Deadly.
Can it be bad? Yes, it can be. I know that.
Yeah.
But they're politicizing this to make it way worse than what it is, to put fear in people,
Yeah.
to get them to get control.
Yep.
and do what they want to do. Lock
Right.
you down. You can't do this. You can't do that. The
Never
government
let
says
a
you can't
crisis
do this.
go to waste, is what they say.
Exactly.
And so they use crisis after crisis to strip away your freedoms and take away your wealth and take away your health. And if they get away with this, crime of the century, crime of not the century, crime of millennium, probably. People need to be hanging from gallows for what's going on. Well, that's probably got us a strike. All right, we're going to wrap this thing up. Send your feedback to Troy at GuyandGunsPodcast.com, or
Again, GuyandGunsPodcast.com.
please tell your friends about us. Leave us an iTunes review and like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/God and Guns Podcast. Subscribe and follow us on YouTube. And you can find us over on Instagram. We have a Wimkin page and a God and Guns page, a personal page, and a God and Guns page. Rumble, I tried to load up videos this week and I'm doing something wrong. I'm going to have to contact them and see what I'm doing wrong. You can find us over on MeWe, and our website is GuyandGunsPodcast.com. So until next time, Doug, have a blessed week.
And keep your guns close, but keep your Bibles closer.
Thank you guys for watching and being there. And please like and share. We really need all the help we can get because we ain't getting it from the social media gurus. Adios.
Good night, everybody.